You know, being selfless and being kind is not it don't mean that you're weak. All right, it's just you've been conditioned to prioritize everybody else except for yourself. You have been conditioned, you have learned to take care of everybody else around you. And then whatever you have left, if that, then give it to yourself. But a lot of times we wasn't even taught to give it to ourselves. We were just taught to, just take care of your family, take care of the people around you, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you know good, how you gonna be anything to anybody else, right? All right, so we gotta shift our thinking a little bit, right? You're not responsible for adults. You're not responsible for no human being, honestly, other than yourself. Unless you have children, then you are responsible for them. Okay, as a parent, as a guardian, as a caregiver, yes, you are responsible. But you're not responsible for fixing everybody. Everybody is not your assignment, okay? Boundaries, we talk a lot about boundaries, but boundaries is a form of self-respect. You respect yourself enough. You love yourself enough to do what you need to do for yourself to make sure that you're in the right place mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, you know? Saying no is not selfish. It's a complete sentence. We heard that time and time again. It's okay. It's okay to be like, no, 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 no. Can't do it. And it's healthy. Boundaries healthy, protecting your peace is healthy. That's the whole point, okay? So, self-love begins when you stop negotiating your worth just to be accepted by people. Okay? You got to love yourself enough, even if, regardless of how people respond, you got to love yourself enough to be like, look, I love you, but I'm not going to be able to meet that need or do all of that. Okay? So, do minimal activity. Okay? So, how to deal with selfish people without losing yourself. Let me see who this video is for. Okay, who is this video for? This video is for kind people. People with big hearts. People who are givers. And people who constantly feel drained around certain people. Okay? I just gotta let you know, it's two types of people. Okay, y'all? It's two types of people in this world. Okay? You have selfish people who will take from you emotionally, mentally, physically, energetically, financially, etc., etc. And then you also have selfless people, right? So you got selfish versus selfless. And the selfless person is who I'm speaking to today, okay? Because somebody wanted to let you know, all right? You always giving more than you receive. You feel exhausted emotionally, mentally. You feel guilt tripped when you draw boundaries or for having needs or for having a complaint or anything. And you losing yourself trying to keep the peace. Okay, I get it. Everybody is not confrontational. Everybody don't like confrontation. Okay, it's uncomfortable. We don't like to be at odds with people. We don't like getting our blood pressure running, our blood pumping, because we want to be into some drama, right? Okay, I get that. I get that everybody is not confrontational. But that don't mean you gotta keep giving, and receiving little to nothing in return, if anything, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna give you a few signs that you're dealing with a selfish person. And you probably know by the list the person or the people that pop up in your mind, right? Okay, so here's some signs, here's some hints that you need to pay attention to. Everything revolves around them. That's number one. Everything revolves around them. It don't matter what you got going on. It don't matter what you going through. It don't matter what you've been through. It don't matter if it's your birthday or if it's a holiday. The show is about them. Okay? They only concerned about them. Okay? Number two, they only call you when they need something. Or they calling you to be nosy. Number three, they dismiss your feelings. Or say things like, you're sensitive. Or why you take it the wrong way. And they just try to dismiss your reality. And try to gaslight you and make it seem like you the one that's coming up with these things on your own. Number four, they make you feel guilty for setting boundaries, for choosing yourself. Then you become the selfish person in their eyes, in their mind. You become the selfish person, right? And then the last one, they expect understanding, but rarely give you the same understanding. So if something happened, or if you show them a little grace and mercy, they expect that. But then when something is going on with you, or you can't be there, you can't attend the event, you can't answer the phone as soon as they call, they can't give you that. They can't give you that. Okay? So, selfish people often confuse access to you with entitlement to you. Because after a while, that's a thing. People start to feel entitled, as if you are supposed to do what you do. Even if you've been doing it for a long time and you decide, I'm not doing it no more. They still feel like they're entitled. Okay? This is why selfish people, it's not selfish people, but selfless people struggle the most. Kind people, people with good hearts, big hearts. This is male and female too, by the way. This is why. Because they want to people please. Alright? You want to be liked. You want to be accepted. We human. It's human nature. We need community. We need connection, right? Of course. Also, fear conflict. I said this. Don't like confrontation. Don't like fighting. Don't like being at odds with people. What else? Wanting to feel needed. You got to be the hero. You can't be the hero to everybody else. You can't save everybody else and lose yourself. That's why when you're on the airplane, excuse me, when you're on the airplane and they tell you at the jump, at the beginning, if an emergency happened, what do you need to do first? You need to put your mask on first. You need to put your vest on first. You need to save yourself first. And then you help the person next to you or whoever else needs some help, right? But something in you obviously wants to feel needed, right? Wants to feel like a hero. Wants to feel like you contribute to something. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there's a fine line. Fear of abandonment. This abandonment got deep roots. All right, deep childhood roots. Okay, so you may feel like if you disagree or reject somebody's request, they're gonna leave you, or they won't speak to you no more, or they'll turn their back on you because you have that fear of abandonment. And then also, you over-explain and you over-give. You don't have to explain yourself to people. If you tell them, no, I'm not going to be able to make it, you don't have to run them down the whole list as to why you're not going to make it, as to why you can't do it, as to why you're not going to be there, as to why you can't answer the phone. No, it's a complete sentence. Over-giving. It depends. People say, they'll give you the shirt off of their back, leaving them with no shirt. That's overgiving. That's like an example of overgiving. And honestly, I don't see nothing wrong with overgiving. It depends on who you overgiving to. You can't be overgiving to the wrong people, the wrong person, okay? Okay. So it's not you know, being selfless and being kind it don't mean that you're weak. All right, it's just you've been conditioned to prioritize everybody else except for yourself. You have been conditioned, you have learned to take care of everybody else around you. And then whatever you have left, if that, then give it to yourself. But a lot of times we wasn't even taught to give it to ourselves. We were just taught to, just take care of your family, take care of the people around you, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you know good, how you gonna be anything to anybody else, right? All right, so we gotta shift our thinking a little bit, right? You're not responsible for adults. You're not responsible for no human being, honestly, other than yourself. Unless you have children, then you are responsible for them. Okay, as a parent, as a guardian, as a caregiver, yes, you are responsible. But you're not responsible for fixing everybody. Everybody is not your assignment, okay? Boundaries, we talk a lot about boundaries, but boundaries is a form of self-respect. You respect yourself enough. You love yourself enough to do what you need to do for yourself to make sure that you're in the right place mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, you know? Saying no is not selfish. It's a complete sentence. We heard that time and time again. It's okay. It's okay to be like, no, 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 no. Can't do it. And it's healthy. Boundaries healthy, protecting your peace is healthy. That's the whole point, okay? So, self-love begins when you stop negotiating your worth just to be accepted by people. Okay? You got to love yourself enough, regardless of how people respond. You got to love yourself enough to be like, look, I love you, but I'm not going to be able to meet that need or do all of that. Okay? So, how can we deal with this? Like, how can you deal with selfish people? Okay? What are some easy ways to do this? We talked about it a little bit already, but we not over explaining. You setting clear-cut boundaries. I'm not going to be able to answer your phone call every time you call, whatever the case may be, etc., etc. And then you have to detach from their reaction. Like I said, we just talked about that a little bit too. Like, regardless of how people take your boundaries and the lines that you draw, hey, if they get mad, if they stop talking to you for a little while, if they stop talking to you altogether, if they go talk about you behind your back, so be it. It is what it is. Let them do it. Just detach from it altogether. Okay? Their disappointment it means nothing to you. It don't mean that you're in the wrong because you didn't do what they wanted you to do. It is what it is. And a lot of times too, when it comes to, I gotta mention this important piece. To selfless people, to kind people. You probably grew up, even now, or at any point, you probably thought that everybody was just like you. Y'all gotta let me know if this resonates. You thought that everybody was just like you. You thought that everybody was selfless. You thought that everybody was kind. You thought that everybody thought the way that you did. But they don't. And you had to learn that the hard way. You had to learn that through trial and error. You had to learn that through experience to be like, you know what? Whew, they don't think like me. They don't process. They don't see things the way that I see them. They don't have the heart that I have. They don't like to give the way I like to give. That's something you had to learn. Let me know. Let me know. All right. What else? Oh my God, I hate it when people say match energy. I don't. It's hard to match. It's when you are a giver, when you are a kind person, when you have a big heart, it's hard to match that energy. If somebody is coming to you with toxic, low vibrational, selfish energy. Nah, you can't match that. What I will say is stop over investing in the relationship. How about that? Stop over investing. When you see it, when you spot it, like they care more about themselves than they do about me or anything else, then guess what? You need to bring it back. You need to bring it back and be like, I'm doing too much. I'm giving too much. I'm saying too much. I'm giving too much. Like, you need to draw it back. Bring it back in. Bring it back in. Bring it back in. Bring it back in. I don't like matching people energy, especially if it's negative. Forget about that. What else can you do? Prioritize yourself. This is a big one. I gotta put this out there. The main way to deal with selfish people, I'm not saying become selfish, but you need to love yourself a little harder. Love yourself a little bit harder. Because that's the thing, y'all. That's the thing. It's like when people do what's best for them, that's what they gonna do. Look, I'm not gonna say when. I'm gonna say people gonna do what's best for them, okay? People gonna do them. All right, this is something that I had to learn. This is probably something you had to learn too earlier on. People gonna do them. They gonna do them all day and night. All day and night. But here you are with the big heart, being a selfless person that you are. You want to keep helping and keep being there and keep supporting and keep doing this. No, you need to turn that energy around and give it back to yourself. So instead of giving it to them, you need to give it back to yourself. All the support, all the love, everything that you want to do for somebody else or you want somebody to do for you, do it for yourself. Don't do it for somebody else. Do it for yourself. Because you will find yourself knee deep in some resentment. Because why? Because the whole time you giving, you supporting, you rooting people, you cheering them on, you there for them, you doing everything that need to be done, and you get nothing. In a time of need, you can't call them. Either they can't help you, they don't have the capacity to help you, they don't understand you, and there's a block. So that means you gotta bring it back. Give it to yourself. Give it to yourself. Give all that love, give all that support, give all that energy to yourself. Pour it back into yourself. Because people gonna do them. They're gonna do them day and night. And I think you see this a lot with parenting. And as children become adults and having a different, just having that parent-child dynamic as an adult child, right? And it's like, as a child, the parent was doing them. So then as they get older and the child is an adult now, they seeing life differently on the other side. And they want to have that relationship, or they want to have that community or that connection because they older in life now. But it's like when you was a child, they was doing them. So guess what? As an adult, you need to do you. I hope y'all following me here. Hopefully that don't sound too harsh, but I'm sorry. I can only speak the truth. All right, so moving forward. All right. Some people only like the version of you that had no boundaries. Some people only like the version of you that supported them or have always been there for them. They don't like the new version of you who is pouring back into yourself, who's loving yourself more. And that's okay. There's a time, there's a season for everything. And sometimes people come in your life for a season and for a reason. That don't mean they there for the long run. That don't mean that they there forever, you know. And a lot of time when you don't know better, you let people take advantage of you. Sometimes people are aware that they've been taken advantage of, but because they have this empty void inside, they still allow it. They may not say nothing about it, but they allow it, you know, to be taken advantage of, because they want company. They want to belong to somebody. They want to be around somebody, right? But that's something you have to work on within yourself. And, you know, unfortunately, when you begin your self-love journey, when you begin loving yourself more, when you begin taking care of yourself more, when you begin prioritizing yourself first, some people might not like that because they're not used to that from you. They used to you always putting them before you. They're used to you putting their needs before your needs. And they might exit left. But if they exit left, hey, you got to be okay with that and be at peace with that. Okay? So you could be love, you could be loving, you could be kind, you could be supportive without sacrificing your mental and emotional well-being. Okay? Relationships are meant to be reciprocal. And when I say relationships, I'm not talking about a boyfriend and girlfriend, a husband and wife, or a spouse. I'm talking about all your relationships, whether that's with a friend, a sibling, a coworker, a family member, a stranger. Okay? You can still be loving. You can still have a big heart. You can still be a giver. But if it's costing you yourself or your mental health, your physical health, emotional health, financial health, all right, it's time to draw a line somewhere. Okay? So the right people that's meant to be in your life, that's meant to be in your circle, that's meant to be with you, they won't require you to lose yourself, to overextend yourself, to break and bend yourself just to keep them around. They will be the same way you are to them. So if you support them, they support you. You know, and sometimes relationship dynamics are different. You know, sometimes the other person might be going through something, you know, and they can't be there for you at that moment in time, or they can't support you the way that you needed it at that moment in time. And that's okay, because we all have ebbs and flow. We all have seasons, right? So I'm talking about patterns. If it's a consistent pattern where people is taking from you and not pouring into you, if it's a pattern of that's a problem. That's the error. But if things is consistent in the relationship, I remind you, this relationship it don't have to always be romantic. It could be a friendship. It could be a family member, a parent, a sibling, a cousin, whoever. You know, if it's reciprocal most of the time, but then say if they have a death in their family, or somebody close to them, they might not could be there for you at that moment. So you can't say with that scenario, you can't say, oh, well, they haven't called me, they haven't checked on me, they haven't, reached out to me, they haven't showed up for me. Well, they going through something right now. So you got to be a little bit more sensitive. You got to be a little bit, more flexible. You got to give them grace, because we all dealing with our own stuff. So I'm not speaking on that. I'm speaking about people who consistently have shown you time and time again, playing in your face. That's what I'm talking about. All about them. They the star of the show. They the spotlight. They the highlight of the reel. Right? That's what I'm talking about. So, comment boundaries if this message spoke to you. Share it with somebody. And make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow, like, all that good stuff. And remember, most of all, you are divine inspiration, honey. You are a source of inspiration for your friends, your family, your community, and literally every single person connected to you. Do you hear me? I will see you in the next one. Peace.